Welcome back to Can You Not? Today Jesse is sadly gone again. He is off and away in Oberlin. But in his place, we once again have the lovely Bryce Lewis, aka the apple of my eye. I don't know what that phrase means. What does that ever mean?
I don't know. I can look it up right now.
I'm really curious.
I have the internet.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those things you always go, like. I feel like I do that all the time. We're just sitting here and we'll be like, I wonder if that store's open. And I'll just kind of sit there and I'll be like, yeah.
It's a phrase.
Don't
that
have the entire
to
information.
Something or someone that is cherished above all others. Oh, it's from the Bible. That's why.
Oh.
I thought the apple was bad in the Bible.
Well.
So you were.
Or maybe I'm thinking of Snow White. Who knows?
You're the humanity corrupting sin of my life.
The Bible reference it says, what? Flower of this purple dye, hit with Cupid's archery, sank in the apple of his eye. Oh, that's from Shakespeare. Okay, interesting.
It's not the Bible.
Yeah, but it says it's talks. I was skimming.
Maybe Shakespeare was quoting the Bible too.
Maybe
okay,
Shakespeare
so there's
wrote
the
Bible.
in Hebrew, it literally says the little man of the eye, and
the little man of the eye.
The little man refers to the pupil.
Oh,
that's not what I thought it was referring to.
So I'm very aware of this because I consider myself to be an artist of sorts. And what I fall into is sometimes I have an idea that I really like, but maybe it seems very symbolic, or maybe it seems very like kind of deep to me or something like that in a sense. But I always have this constant fear of like sounding pretentious. And I feel like that's a common thing that you see in a lot of art that tries to be somewhat like deep or somewhat like have some kind of meaning to it. It's really easy to fall into this trap of pretentiousness. And it almost scares me away from doing things that I would normally find more complex sometimes, because I'm like, I don't want this to come off as some kind of standoffish, preachy thing, but I also want to tell something that I feel like has a deeper message than just being entirely goofy or silly or something like that. I guess I'm wondering, is any sort of deep art inherently pretentious, or is it the attitude of the artist that defines that? Or like, what do you think makes something pretentious as opposed to something that's not?
Well, I think that any artist, any person putting something out into the world that they created, they have to have so much confidence. Like, they have to be able to withstand criticism and just hate bombs, because if you can't be proud of your work, regardless of if people like it or not, then you will be shot down immediately and you won't be an artist anymore. You have to have pride. You have to be able to say, I created this, and I'm proud that I created this, regardless of whether other people think it's good or not. So I think art has to be, it can turn into pretentiousness, but I would almost say that in order to be able to create art and put it out into the public eye, you have to have some intense level of like an idea of self-worth and like an assuredness that what you're doing is good because it has to be good because it's what you're making, and other people might not like it, but that's okay. You know what I mean? Like it has to be okay in order for that person to continue to put art out. So pretentiousness might occur with that because the pride level, like, I'm proud of this, I put it out whether you like it or not, like that could be seen as pretentious, I suppose.
Yeah, but sometimes don't you ever watch a movie or something like that, and it just seems so like they're trying to be symbolic, and it just comes across.
It's only
probably have lots of
pretentious when you talk down on people. Like, if you're coming at it from in a place where you're equals, then it can never be pretentious. But if you're saying it from a place where like I'm better than you, that's when it becomes pretentious.
Okay, that's kind of an interesting idea. I guess it's just like it seems like
Nicholas Sparks.
Like Nicholas Sparks.
Like what you said. It was like,
yeah,
I am better than Jane Austen and Shakespeare combined. My favorite book is the book that I wrote.
Yeah.
That's pretentious.
Well, that's also intense confidence in yourself. Maybe we should all aspire to be.
See, I don't think, I think every year I don't think it's necessarily bad, as long as you're being respectful, I guess. I don't know.
I once heard someone's explanation of like what makes a good rock star as opposed to like a bad one. And the person, they defined it as having a certain confidence like that. They're like, the people who sell you the idea, because like, the idea of someone gyrating around on stage and like tongue like sticking out and like looking at people weird, stuff like that, like that's so goofy, it's so silly. But if you have the confidence to sell it, then people don't think about it. It comes off as something really amazing rather than just like some guy doing a bunch of stupid stuff on stage.
I feel like that's kind of where the pretense almost, like the pretentiousness almost comes from, because if people are with you, it doesn't matter what you do. Like if people are on your side and they're like already, I guess for rock stars, if they're already idolizing you, or if they already think that like you know what's up, then you can stick your tongue out on stage and do all kinds of crazy stuff. It's when people aren't on board with you, it's when people aren't on your level, that they take a step back and go, wait, this is ridiculous. Like I feel like the context is that the artist is assuming that everybody is understands, like is on top of what's actually going on and what's supposed to be happening. But because I feel like that can be what happens with the kind of movies that, oh, this is so pretentious because they're like trying to talk down on me. But I feel like what that is trying to do is like the movie will go through and they're trying to build a pipe and they're trying to get you on their side. And if it works, it would probably be really, really cool, because it's supposed to probably, or at least the way I'm thinking about it, the pretentiousness, these ideas that they think are super deep, are supposed to be like philosophical and like mind-blowing at the big climax of the movie. And then if the build-up didn't work and you're still looking at it without the hype that the artist is expecting you to have, then it's just ridiculous looking.
Well, then do you think sometimes it comes down to subtlety too? So like if something is like kind of a deeper message or something like that, and it's just done in such a way where they're giving you hints at what that message could be, as opposed to like bludgeoning you over the head, like that's what I kind of felt like. There was a Superman movie that came out a couple years ago called Man of Steel, and every single thing in that movie is like, do you get it? He's like Jesus. He's like, look, he died, but he didn't really die. And like his arms are outspread. It's like Jesus. And I'm just like, I get it. But like if it had been very subtle, maybe I would have been more on board with it, because it'd be like, oh, I kind of see what they're doing there. As opposed to being like, do you guys get it? And like rattling you, I guess.
Well, it can, I think it depends a lot, because it depends on what the artist is trying to do. Like, I really enjoy stories that do put incredibly philosophical things into very simple day-to-day occurrences, and I really like subtlety like that. But there's also other things, like what if they were going for the campy, like very big idea, I want to make sure every single person understands this, then I feel like good artists get you on their side, and then it's okay.
Right.
And then the bad artists are the one, or even that's very black and white. But the people, what makes an artist, I almost feel like, is the ability to get people on your side, so that way you can show them what you want to show them without them thinking you are.
Yeah, I agree with what
That's
you're
very
saying,
profound.
because you do, like what you said in the beginning, you do have to have a sort of confidence to you. As long as you come about it where, yeah, you get them on your side first, and then you really ramp up that confidence. Because people are attracted to people who think they can do well. Not like that fake until you make it kind of thing.
None of that floor staring nonsense with these sad bands, like.
Yeah. Nothing riles me up more than like the awkward, oh my god, I'm just so awkward trope. Like, wow, I tripped over the stairs. I was so quirky. I hate that. That drives me crazy. I'd rather watch. Yeah, I don't like that.
Which is why you didn't like Adaptation.
No,
by
because
Charlie
it was
Kaufman's
just
film.
Why me? I'm just. My life's so hard. I just can't adapt this movie. And you didn't even adapt it. You just did it. I didn't like it. No, stupid.
See, I like that movie, but I can see how it can come off as pretentious.
That movie
You
is
want to
so
know what I
pretentious.
think is pretentious? Abstract art. I don't get it. They did not get me on their team. I
feel
do
about,
not
like,
understand.
Modern dance, like I was like, I think I like this, but I don't understand the message you're showing. But I like dancing, so like, yes, this is good.
Yep.
Just get it.
Postmodern art is, I think, something that really does divide people. You see that divide a lot.
And I
because-
don't mean like Dali abstract art. I mean like the boxes with the colors on them, or like the paint slinging stuff. Like it can look cool, but like that
Like
it's hanging in a
Jackson Pollock
museum
stuff.
kind of blows my mind a little bit. Because I know people hate it when they say like, oh man, I could have done that, and like.
But, like,
I probably couldn't
could've
have made
done
that, but I probably could have made something super similar, and I would have had, like, equally felt that I also didn't want the thing I made hanging in my house. Like, the same as this museum thing that costs lots of money.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I've heard a lot of different defenses of, like, abstract art and stuff like that. Some of them are saying, like, they're almost sometimes deceptively simple. Like, there's one where it just looks like a big purple square or whatever, and they were explaining about how this artist actually had to have a particular brush stroke that would have taken an extreme long time to actually produce it. But from, like, just someone looking at it, you wouldn't know that.
Yeah, but who
because
cares
it's
about a big purple square?
And the other thing too is that I can spend 4 hours making a drawing in Visio, and that doesn't make it art. Like I can spend 3 hours trying to make sure all the lines are parallel, but it doesn't mean that they're gonna hang it in a museum.
Doesn't necessarily mean that it's good. Just because it took a long time doesn't mean that it's great.
I think a lot of art too is like what you feel from it. So like you might look at that and maybe you are a little disgraced, but that art ultimately accomplished its goal of making you feel something, and you know it wasn't necessarily an emotion of positivity or happiness, but it still gave you something that you wouldn't have felt otherwise if you hadn't seen it.
If I saw a big purple square, I'd probably leave.
Yeah, I'd be mad.
That wouldn't make me feel anything.
You know, there's only 2 free museums in the country, and that's the Cleveland Museum of Art and the Smithsonian. If I had to pay to see a purple square, I would be pissed.
Well, probably 2 major art, because I know the art museum in Oberlin's also free. It's also very nice.
Major art museum.
Major, yeah. The Cleveland Art Museum is wonderful, by the way. It is a treasure of the area.
But like, just back to the purple square thing. I feel like if you went in and you had that context, then maybe you'd be impressed. If you were an artist and you knew exactly what this artist had to go through to create that, that'd be one thing. But that's not art for me. That's like I think about power plants and it blows my mind because I kind of have an idea of how they work and how insane the amount of changes and things that have happened to make them how they are now. That's super cool. Nobody cares though, and nobody wants to see.
Cool. I think power plants are cool.
Yeah, but it's just all I'm saying is you can go into anything.
More about power plants.
But
Bryce, my topic is on power plants.
Why are they cool?
But just really quickly, I think anything can be that cool if you know enough about it, and it doesn't have to be art, and so I don't think that's art. I think that's just impressing people with that technical skill. It's different.
As long as people are on your side, it can never be pretentious. But if you're going at it as you're an outsider, then it'll always be pretentious.
Yes.
And disclaimer, I don't necessarily think that's my favorite kind of art either. I've heard people's defenses of it, and I can kind of like, okay.
I'm gonna stop telling them about power plants and tell them they have to appreciate it because it was a lot of time and thoughts and things that went into it.
Who would like to go next?
I'll go.
By the way,
now
before we go,
something completely different.
Just real quick though, don't they typically say that the whole power grid is like the biggest machine technically that man has ever made? In a sense,
I've never heard
like,
that, but
when you think about it, I mean, it's kind of like it's.
I learned
crazy.
more about the apple of your eye. Oh, okay.
Oh, yes.
And this is from Urban Dictionary, so who knows how legit this is, but it sounds legit. In Old English, the pupil of the eye, the round dark center, was called the apple. It was thought that the pupil was a round object much like an apple. When you look at someone, the reflection appears in your pupil. So if someone says you're the apple of your eye, he or she is someone that you look at a lot and enjoy seeing.
Huh. That kind of makes sense. I still don't understand the apple pupil thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe apples can be reflective, so...
And black and spherical.
Exactly. The same exact thing.
Sometimes I have red eyes. And...
Yeah, it's like an apple.
I mean, even if that isn't the actual explanation, I kind of think that's kind of cute.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Good job, Urban Dictionary.
Yay.
Sponsor us.
I don't know. I follow Vice on Facebook, and I love clickbait articles. It's like my favorite thing in the world. So I always read their articles because they have the best clickbait titles. And this week I learned about 3 new fetishes that I literally have never heard of before ever in my life. And this one was yesterday. It's the most interesting one. It's called the emerging fetish of laying alien eggs inside yourself.
I've actually heard of that.
How have you heard of it? The other one I heard of, and I had heard of this before, but I learned more about it, was sneeze fetishes. And I did not.
Oh, sorry. Hey, audience.
And then the last one that I learned this week, literally I learned about these this whole week. Three articles about fetish. What? Why?
Separate articles?
Yes, 3 separate articles about fetishes. And this one is about people who enjoy women's sweat.
I think that one doesn't surprise me.
None of these surprise me at all. Like, I'm not surprised.
First one surprised me a little bit.
Well, okay,
I have to admit that.
As I always say, all fetishes have to do with power play, so I'm not surprised.
I can see that.
But look at this picture. This is very involved.
Audience, look at this picture.
Whoa. That's
description.
It's a process, right?
I don't know how much I can explain.
Maybe we can
under
PG.
iTunes.
This is a PG.
Can we link it?
Yeah, maybe we can put a link in the description.
Maybe we can put a disclaimer.
Who wants to venture?
Disclaimer link.
Disclaimer. You may feel uncomfortable.
What is involved? The tools involved.
Okay, so basically, just imagine a plastic apparatus that is involved for that fetish.
Yeah.
For having alien baby
also,
eggs.
there's
laid
physical
in you.
eggs.
They're like plastic,
They're like silicone, probably.
orbish looking egg things.
Yes. Anyway, so what are your thoughts on these new fetishes that I've shared with you?
Are they
Not new.
are they new though? I mean, that's the
Probably
question.
not new.
I don't think anything.
I'm
is
not
new
surprised
anymore.
that this alien one is probably emerging more with X-Files coming back, quite honestly, because it's cool to like aliens again, basically.
It has. Within the past year or two, I've seen a lot of research. I think we even talked about that in an episode. There's been a lot of UFO kind of
That was my episode.
media. Oh yeah, you were there.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Kinda
don't know if I
bubbling up.
remember that one.
Yeah, that was mine. You were there. Yeah, so.
You had to be there.
Okay. Well, okay. So the women's sweat one. The reason that I said that doesn't surprise me is because, like, for anybody who's seen Orange is the New Black, there's like a big arc about how they're selling panties after they wear them on the internet.
Yeah,
That's a real thing.
and it's
yeah.
kind
Real
of
thing.
it feels very similar. Like that idea and the women's sweat thing seems very
It was
similar.
honestly, this article I did not like how it was written because it's basically this woman being like, these guys are so gross. Like, it's just, why would they even, like, it's my sweat. Why would they want it? Because she was at a gym and people like go sit in her sweat afterwards. I'm like, okay, calm yourself. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I understand where she's coming from. Like, it's not consensual and everything, but like, whatever. And I felt bad because they interviewed a guy and he seemed really sympathetic. He was like, well, it's not, he personally doesn't do it that way, but he said the reason that he enjoys it is because it's like when a woman is in her most vulnerable state. And that's why he liked
when they're
it.
sweating.
When they're sweaty, when they're like have like gross bodily functions, because a lot of times, you know, women would try to hide that kind of stuff and it makes them more
Human.
and that's what he likes about it. And I was like, okay, I can understand that, even though I think sweat is gross.
Well, but
I get
I've heard women, well, one woman specifically I have in mind, but I've heard women say that they like it when like men are sweating. This particular person was talking about the kind of men that she likes, and she was like, I just like it when they have chest hair that can get damp when they sweat. And I was like, that is actually the most disgusting thing I've ever heard like, in my whole life. But like that doesn't seem that.
I mean, there's a lot of.
I understand.
There's a lot of
yeah.
pheromones going off in
Yeah.
your sweat that like, and they say like, there are a lot of little subtle cues that we might not actively pick up on, but like subtly pick up in the back of our head, like when we get someone's like scent, you know, and it's like if say their sweat smells weird to us, even though like we might seem attracted to them from the outside, we're gonna be far less attracted to them all of a sudden, and we might not even know why. Or like say even someone's saliva, you know, if we kiss somebody and like. And there's that weird thing in our head going, that didn't feel right. It might just be the pheromones in the saliva that we don't like, you know. So like there are a lot
the
of.
guy's quote. He says, "Sweat is a counterpoint to the portrayal of women as these perfect, immaculate creatures. It's messy, it smells, it happens voluntarily, and it's embarrassing to a lot of women. So it feels like something more intimate that they'd be less likely to share."
I mean, that's fair, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't control fetishes. They're just
No.
Well, and I don't think as long as people aren't getting hurt, fetishes aren't bad. Like,
Yeah.
people
I
can
wonder
do
how
whatever they
these
want.
things started. Like, what happened where on the one sneeze fetishist one, the woman was saying that she realized that she was attracted to it as little as being a kid. And she references, like, she remembered seeing the scene in Frosty the Snowman when they are, like, on the train going to North Pole and the little girl sneezes. She was like, I remember that scene and that, like, stuck out to me. And I was like, what?
That's super interesting.
weird.
So, yeah, she's like, it started from when she was young. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Was there any science explanation for the sneezing?
no, but a lot of people compared it to the same kind of involuntary reaction as an orgasm. That's what they were like, something like that. Like, it's a release,
Sudden.
and I was
It's
like,
unpredictable.
I love the artwork in this article too. It's hilarious. This should also be linked.
And I guess that's a really easy one to come across as people. Like,
It's so bizarre.
Yeah, apparently
I feel worse for the people who have fetishes that like
can never be realized.
Like people
like
giants and stuff like no, you're never really gonna be able to do that.
Alien impregnate. Well, I don't know.
Like real aliens.
That may happen.
Probably
we don't
not,
know. We don't know.
There'll be some like microbial organism they'll find on like Mars or something, and they'll take
Everybody
it back
just
to Earth.
immediately wants to have sex.
I was
with
like,
it.
I want to have
So
sex with that
excited for
virus.
the guy who like created the apparatus for the alien fetish because like he's probably making some serious
Making
dollars.
Well,
on
I
this.
mean,
Like,
maybe
I'm
it
happy
depends
for
on
him.
how many people have that
Maybe.
fetish.
It seems.
But
like,
now that it's getting like a Vice article, maybe people
yeah,
are going to be
people are
like,
probably like, I think I like that.
I might actually like that. Like, I think I'll check that out.
The guy's name is Lone Wolf.
Of course it is.
Lone Wolf.
There's
Obviously.
the tool is called Ovipositor.
Maybe we can get him to sponsor Can You Not?
Hey, you know what? Good for him.
And now for our plug for alien egg fetish. If you would like
There's
to
a
buy
video.
yours.
It's called The New Improved Splorch. That's a terrible sound. And that's a terrible onomatopoeia.
I don't dig.
I don't want
Respect to people who are into that thing, but I
showed you the video.
I don't like this.
Fetishes are super interesting to me, and I've never heard anybody say that fetishes are entirely about power play, and that's super. I've been thinking about that like literally since you said it, and that's like really that tripped me up. That's a really cool. That's a super interesting way to think about that.
Giving power or gaining power. That's what most of them are about.
That's what you said the same thing to me.
I say that all the time.
I know you said the same thing to me one time.
We talk about fetishes a lot. I don't know.
That
It's always
makes
me
no
bringing up
sense.
fetishes. It's because I listen to the Savage Love Cast.
Ah.
And they talk about fetishes a lot.
Is that a fellow podcast that our listeners should listen to?
It's like a very famous podcast. Dan Savage is like an advice columnist, like an important one.
We're all equal here.
Yeah,
can you not? It's the same level.
What's that about pretentiousness?
Yes. But this is also interesting. In the Alien one, the owner describes the typical customer as just simply people.
Simply people.
Well, that's
It's not
how
one
it
group.
is.
Yeah, it's not one
The
group
people.
of people. It's like it's everyone, and it's not strange to them. It's
You
just
said as long as it's not dangerous, not hurting anybody. You know?
And I
yeah.
just-
And he advises to take it slow. He you should not just start putting things in your orifices.
And maybe I won't even necessarily say like nobody gets hurt because like there's people who are into consensual BDSM stuff, and I don't want to judge on that.
I don't know.
It's
That's
not like
hurt.
it's not like they're hurting them without permission, and they're not doing it in such a way where
Consent
they're gonna
is
be
important.
completely
Consent is extreme.
Yeah, that
probably
one
the
mostly.
most important.
Yeah, I just find fetishes interesting because they're involuntary. Like, it's super interesting the things that people's brains are just like, whoa, look at that. Like,
Right.
I always wonder like
that.
is there ever like a thing that just starts like how do those things get connected?
Well, they say sometimes they think, like what I've heard evolutionary wise, is that they say that they think a lot of fetishes develop as a way of people not having too many babies. Because they're like, if you're really attracted to this one weird thing, you might just have fun with that instead of like having a baby.
What literally makes a fetish, because you can be interested in a lot of things, but what makes it a fetish is that that's the only way that you can get off. That's
I didn't know
that's
that.
the only way. That's what makes it a fetish. Is that nothing else works for you. That's the only
I
way.
think that's technically true.
No, that's what it is.
That's
what
the
makes a
definition.
fetish.
So then what are things where you're attracted to it but you don't necessarily need it? Like
Good
It's
times.
not a fetish. It's just something you enjoy.
Yeah, just stuff.
Hmm.
I don't know.
uh,
Preferences.
Yeah,
Preferences,
just a preference.
yeah.
And something you enjoy, but it's
Okay.
it's not a fetish.
huh, I didn't realize it was an exclusive thing.
It is exclusive. It's very exclusive, Joe.
I wonder if animals have
I
fetishes.
also read an article this
like
week.
does a beaver like I really like
That's a
like
good
no
choice of an animal.
tails.
I also read an article called "What Happens When You Drink an Entire Bottle of Weed Lube." That was a great one.
And what? An entire bottle of what?
Weed lube. That's a new thing.
Weed
Like
lube?
yeah, lube that's infused with weed. It's becoming more and more popular.
I don't like that.
Can they not?
Very generally, what I would like to talk about is how confused I am about the whole Oregon militia thing that just happened. Because just everything about it
It's bizarre.
is so contradictory and strange. Because you have these people who are really angry. Like, they are super on board with this cause.
Mm-hmm.
And they take over a freaking building in the middle of nowhere.
It's a nature preserve, right?
Yeah, and they were really into it. They're like, we need to destroy the government. I don't know. They had guns. They were like, we're going to die for this. We're not going to leave here. We're not going to be prisoners. We'd rather die. And they're so serious. And then the internet is just laughing at them.
Yeah.
Like, everybody, just everything that happened is just, they're laughing at them. And then this group just continues to lose pride, like asking for food and getting shipped lube and things. And it ends with one of the guys getting shot and killed, which is that's not funny. That's
Yeah.
not okay.
Yeah.
But nobody is, even that is,
And
doesn't
that's
seem
them got
like
arrested.
enough to make people take it seriously.
Yeah.
And what I guess what I'm trying to do in my head is just imagine all the different things that affected this. Like, it's crazy that
People
they...
are three-dimensional people. People always forget that. And it's someone who's on the opposite side of what they think.
Yeah, it's so crazy to me. And I guess this kind of relates back to what we were talking about people being on your side.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because with these guys, it seemed silly. And I think part of the reason it seemed silly is this trope of stupid farmers they're just doing what they do. Like, they're just being silly rednecks, and it's like, that's not that doesn't seem like enough for what they were doing. And I'm glad that people weren't taking them seriously, but at the same time, like, if they had been a different race, things would have been entirely different. If they had the police handle it instead of the FBI, it would have been handled entirely differently.
Yeah.
It's just the disconnect, I guess. So I was just wondering, like, if you guys have been keeping up with that and what you thought about everything that was just going on.
Well, from what I understand, because I saw people saying, like, read into it, like, there's more to it than stuff. So I was kind of like, okay, I'll try to read both sides. I always like to get both sides of every story. But from what I understand, like, what had happened was they were illegally hunting deer in a place where, like, it was government-owned property. It was like this nature preserve or something like that.
I thought they were letting cattle graze on it.
It was both, I think.
Oh, okay.
But then, so they were trying to burn the corpses of the deer, which started a wildfire, which leaked into the government property. And so why they took over the nature preserve is their whole argument was everyone owns this land. The government can't, like, throw these people in jail for doing that because everyone owns this land and it's not the government. It was basically their argument, from what I understand. And so I don't think that's entirely true. And first of all, for the fact that they were doing something kind of illegal.
Oh, you mean that land is not owned by everybody?
Yeah, they're saying we shouldn't really have to pay for accidentally burning down part of this land because everyone owns it, not the government, I guess was their argument.
Which is silly.
It's a little silly.
But it's just, I don't know. Because
you can't just burn down trees, though. Like, there should, even if you own that land, there should be some sort of, you're putting people in danger.
Yeah.
It's burning stuff.
I know. It's
craziness.
I think it's just the, like, comparison, especially with all the shootings of black people. Like, that is such a huge problem, and everybody takes it, well, not everybody, obviously, but it's something to be taken incredibly, incredibly seriously. And now we have these, like, actual people who are literally, it's for a dumb reason, but who are literally, like, terrorists. Like, they have guns, they are holed up in a government building that they stole, they're threatening to kill people. Like, they literally, when they thought the police were gonna come and get them, there's guys sitting on the front with a shotgun, like, ready to kill people. And it's just, the seriousness of this actual situation, like, what was actually happening, and the reactions from people are just so disconnected. Like, if people thought that these guys were Muslims, and it was still the same thing, like, it was some really ridiculous reason, like, people probably wouldn't have been sending them ridiculous things like dildos.
No, they would probably be sending them, like,
dildos.
They'd probably be
That's literally what happened.
Yeah, they did. Because they said, well, first, it was kind of ridiculous because they're like, send us food using the U.S. Postal Service, which they're trying to boycott the government. So.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
that doesn't make any sense.
But still, like you said, like, would people be laughing? You know, people didn't disagree. Like you said, if they were Muslim or something like that, would it be this big joke fest?
Or if a bunch of, like, black
be,
people or a bunch of Latino people. Like,
it would be people saying, like, look, this is exactly what we're talking about. They're trying to take over.
They
We
never
should shoot them
want
all
to,
up. And...
when they do crazy things, it's like, oh, that's just a small group of people. That's not us.
Yeah.
And not all white people.
Yeah. Hashtag not all white people.
But I just find it so, and then he was killed, and it's like, now the joke is weird. Because
Yeah.
this
It's
person
sad.
died, and people, I've
Yeah.
heard people say, like, and I even said this, but then I started thinking about it. It's like, well, I don't feel bad for them. Like,
Right.
it's
Like,
just,
they deserved it. And it's like, wait, no, they didn't.
but yeah,
Yeah.
when they shot him, my understanding is he wasn't armed, and they shot him in the head.
Yeah, that's
Like,
terrible.
they just killed him, and that's
Right.
not something, and that's another layer to it, I think, is if that had happened, and nobody really that's not something I've been seeing a lot online, like, where I get my information from, but if it had been somebody else, like, of a different race, I'm like, especially with Black Lives Matter going on, if he had been a black person who got shot point blank,
Oh
there would
my
be
God.
lots
Yeah.
of noise about that, and
Right.
I find it interesting, and I don't, reverse racism isn't real, by definition. I just would like to say that I am aware that reverse racism isn't even by definition, like, allowed. That's not a thing that can occur. But it's just there's so many levels to this, I think, because it's like, everybody thinks that they're a joke, and they should, but if circumstances had been different, it wouldn't have been, and people would have been reacting so differently. And I don't know. I just think it's super...
I just think it's kind of scummy to, like, celebrate the death of someone, I think, in general at
Yeah.
all. Like, you know, like when Osama bin Laden was killed, like, I was glad that the people who's had family in 9/11 could kind of have some sort of peace with that or something like that. You know, they felt like maybe some kind of justice had been served in their head, you know, but, like, I was really kind of creeped out by how many people were like, yeah, we killed him, he's dead, yeah, screw him, and, like, just really, like, being, like, vitriolic about their celebration of someone dying. Like, yeah, Osama bin Laden, terrible person. I would not ever have lunch with him. But the thing is, like, do we deserve to be happy that someone was killed? Like, that seems like a very
It's
animalistic.
Like, yeah, maybe they're a
sort of-
terrible person to you, but like he also had family.
Well, yeah.
So exactly, like it just depends on what.
And then,
you're on.
there wasn't a government and everything went to hell because we didn't give them a government.
Yeah.
So.
So.
Woohoo! Go team!
Speaking of crazy things that are happening right now, like what was that thing called? The Return of Kings guy.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Crazy.
There was a guy, he started this group where he said he was trying to propel the idea that rape should be legal so long as it's on private property.
When I first heard it, I literally thought it was like some Republican saying something like that. I'm like, oh, this is just a normal guy. Like, what? I thought
so the person who's being raped is now property.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then it's in a twist of dramatic irony, there's supposed to be all these meetings to talk about it, and they all got canceled because he feared for the members' safety. And then he got arrested.
Yeah.
And he lives in his mom's house. So.
Yeah, he was in his mom's basement, which
yeah,
stereotype, but he lived up to the
but then the
stereotype.
thing
in
is,
that
though, he
case.
was not a gross nut beard. He was actually a pretty attractive guy. And I was like, damn, this is unfortunate.
Like you said, you want our villains to be ugly.
Yes.
You want the good people to be beautiful.
It just makes it so much easier to know what's right and wrong.
That is actually like one of the most disgusting things I've heard in a really
I mean,
long time.
really, and people were, again, he found a group of people who were willing to back him up and who were part of this membership.
You can find a group of people who are into anything.
Yeah.
Like
Finding people who are interested in
alien
eggs.
egg plantation. Although not compare the two. There's no comparison.
That's true. Yeah. But the Oregon thing really does. It confuses me, and it feels like I feel like I'm not the only one because there's not really one opinion about it. Like it's not like there's this large group of people who have feelings about the whole thing all the way, and there's like this steadfast, like this thing is obviously wrong or this thing is obviously right, because people are just actually making fun of them and like using their money to send them stuff, and it's just.
I hate how these things happen, and then once it's done, it's just like, okay, on to the next thing.
Yeah, it's like
especially with the way he was killed. I'm really actually kind of angry. He got shot in the head, and he didn't. I mean, okay, so he burned some government land, which is obviously bad. But he didn't. He was threatening people, which is not okay either.
Yeah.
But he didn't hurt anybody, and they literally shot him in the head.
Yeah.
He was unarmed. And I don't look for it because I probably should have, but I don't see anybody getting angry about that.
And I thought it was kind of funny at first too. I thought it was funny if people were doing the Y'all Qaeda and stuff like that. And like I thought that was kind of
vanilla ISIS.
But then I was like, I started like you said, I started realizing like, if people would just probably ignore it, like and not give them all this attention, it would probably go away. But it's the fact that people were making a big joke about it. The police would get handled eventually, but it's the fact that they had all these people who were. It became national news. That,
and it really was a joke. I don't remember why. Oh, I'll finish this real fast. PETA actually brought them vegan jerky and were bragging that they liked it on their webpage,
PETA's stupid,
which is hilarious. But I just mean it is stupid. But I just mean people are literally just walking up to these people who everybody's saying are terrorists and being like, hey, what's up? Try this. What? What? It's oh my god.
All right, what did we learn today, friends?
I don't know.
I mean that a lot of
everything is about connecting with your audience, be it being pretentious or alien fetishism or people being shy in Oregon.
That's beautiful.
Poetry. Sheer poetry.
Sheer poetry.
Shut up, Snape.
That sounded like was that a Christmas Story reference you just? Sorry, she says it like that when she's like A+++. He's like it's poetry, plus. Share poetry.
Oh, is that what that's from?
That's in the Christmas Story.
That's probably that's probably where it came from.
I learned that a lot of not being pretentious just comes down to connecting with people. Like very much what you said. Actually, you summed it up pretty well.
I learned that everything is confusing. This world is a strange and scary place, and I don't like it.
Wow, series of unfortunate events over here. But yeah, it's a lot of it comes down to being confident in what you make without being irrational about it, I guess too. So.
I learned that I'm still angry that he got shot in the head. I don't know.
We didn't really get
I didn't
anywhere with that
learn
conversation.
anything.
It was pretty much. This is a pretty weird situation.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We didn't actually learn anything.
We didn't. Why did we shoot him? I have a question. Why did he get shot in the head by the FBI?
I need more information. Like, is there something that we don't know? Is the truth is still out there?
The government's trying to hide the real
I want to
truth.
believe, Joe.
I want to believe. I learned that Bryce is obsessed with the X-Files.
I'm not obsessed with the X-Files, but I'm a big fan.
All right, you can find us on SoundCloud.com/CYN podcast and on iTunes at Can You Not ? Under the podcast territory.
I forgot. You should give my dad money.
Yes.
For the Alzheimer's thing. We'll put a link. Okay, let me back that way up. My dad's doing a bike ride for Alzheimer's research. He needs to raise $500 in order to ride. All the money that he raises is going to go straight to Alzheimer's research. He's paying for his own trip. He's paying for all of his own expenses. All the donations will go to Alzheimer's research. And it's really cool, and he needs $500 in order to participate in the ride. And he's just going to go super hard and just, like, ride for days, and, like, it's going to be insane. And he's, like, basically a superhero, and you should probably give him money.
Yay, OG
Link in
Bobby
the description.
Johnson.
Because Alzheimer's, can you not?
Can the FBI not shoot people in the head who are unarmed?
Right?
I don't know, those fetishes can do whatever they want.
You're supposed to say, can you not?
I know, but I can't tell them to not because they can do
You could
whatever they
just
want.
say, can you not?
Can you not? I broke my own rule. I didn't have a topic that was can you not?
Yeah.
Damn.
That's my sound effect for the day.
That was weird. That has nothing to do with anything.